Hello, everyone. Tribal Talk is back. Brooks and Will are back. And I don't know about you, Will, but I think we need to go to Vegas and hedge our bets because I think if you watched our cast assessment video, we got a lot right for episode one.
We
I think
did.
there was some stuff we got wrong,
Hmm.
but I think we got a lot right too, including who goes home.
Yeah.
So let's just get right into it, Will. So we start off, it's the marooning. I love the marooning. Some people think it's getting old, but I love it. It's chaotic. I live. What do you think?
This one was really weird. Like this marooning was like oddly tame. Also, like I think Jeff said it best. He was like, "There are still so many things on the boat, and everyone's jumping in the water."
Yeah, a lot of people were jumping off really early. But it was weird that this is the first time the boats, I guess, were actually already in the water. Because I
Yeah.
think in the
Lower
past
them.
seasons, the boats have been like attached to the ship.
Yeah.
So that was kind of weird. I don't know. Maybe the ship was too small or something. It was a small ship.
Right.
Uh, I don't know. But chaos ensued, and Ryan found the super idol. And I'll just say,
Shocker.
we called it. That's all I'll say. Uh,
I was really
I
hoping to
wasn't,
be surprised, but
but I like
alas.
being right. Uh, uh,
There are two kinds of people.
yeah. Um, it's yeah. But so Ryan finds the super idol, and it makes sense. I mean, our reasoning for thinking he was going to be the one to find it is because he is such a huge fan of the show, so he's going to be one. Whereas I don't know, recruited people may not be as keen on that. I'm not
Mhm.
sure if people are binge watching seasons before they go on. I don't know what's happening, but
No.
either way, he was the one who found it. We called it.
It also
Just
led
saying.
to possibly the greatest Survivor one-liner of potentially all time. That's all I'm saying. Like later on in the episode when he was like, "Finally, someone wants to get in my pants." It was like A
Yeah,
plus plus.
I laughed pretty hard at that. I think, Ryan is surprising me. I think he is like reforming what it means to be a nerd on Survivor. I think he's gonna be. I mean, I don't want to put too many eggs in his basket, but I think I used to think he was probably gonna be one of the first people out, but now
Yeah.
I'm sort of changing my mind on that. But
Okay.
uh, I don't
I
know
kind
how you
of
feel.
I begrudgingly liked him in the premiere. It's still too Cochrane. Like even the finally getting in my pants thing was just a little too Cochrane. And maybe that's just who he is, but like I don't want Cochrane again. So it's like it was funny and like he was endearing this episode, whatever. It's just like it's tired. The shtick is tired.
Ah! Will is done with the nerd archetype. Even though if either one of us got cast, that is the role
Yeah.
we would be
Yes,
fulfilling.
I'm fully aware that that is me on television. However, it's tired. It needs a rest.
Uh, uh, so anyway, he gets the super idol, and then we move on to they're racing to it. Well, not racing. They're like paddling to the beach,
Except the
and
hustlers.
yeah, the hustlers just kind of floated. Which I will say, when I saw that, I was like, here we go, disaster tribe right here. Of
We can
course,
talk
I
about that
know,
later because like you might be incorrect.
but okay, I know they won the first
Right.
immunity challenge,
But
but
we predicted that.
I will also say, I mean, I looked at what the challenge was,
Yeah.
and I thought that it suited them, and so part of me wonders if challenges are going to be made less physically straining
Yeah.
because production realizes they created a pretty weak team in comparison to the other two teams, which are
Yeah.
like gods
Yeah.
as far as physicality goes. But
Yeah.
so maybe we should have been factoring that in. But when I saw the challenge, I was like, okay, this is probably to the heroes' detriment because heroes to me don't have, I don't think they're good with things involving balance and I'm not sure they'll be the best at puzzles. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe they're the disaster tribe, but uh,
They appear
that
as though they are the disaster tribe. Tell you
but
what.
that beginning sequence with the hustlers, though, I was like,
Yeah.
here we go,
Yeah.
here we go.
Yeah. They were both
Uh,
struggling. Both tribes struggled a lot out of the gate this
um,
episode.
yeah, but uh, you know, we'll see how it goes. There's still a lot of challenges to go. I'm just gonna go ahead and stick my head out and say I still think the Hustlers are gonna lose next week. Just saying. So anyway, so we get to the Heroes Beach and automatically called it Ashley and the boys get together. I tell you, I call it like I see it, Will.
Listen,
Uh,
I don't disagree with you, but like you saw the preview for next week. I still think I'm going to be right. I think it's going to happen the way that I said it was going to happen.
well, we'll see. But I sort of figured the two older ladies would be on the outs. I knew the men on the Heroes were going to get together. It
Yeah,
was just a question of, which lady was going to be their fourth. But I
right.
figured it was going to be Ashley. Uh,
Although I don't think the
and
guys are together.
well, we'll get to that. Will
Yeah.
I'm talking about the happier few hours of this alliance.
You mean the 2 seconds of it that we saw on the premiere episode?
Um, so let's talk about who's in this alliance. So Ashley and JP, do you think they are going to be? Because I feel like they're at a disadvantage now that that whole um, power couple thing has been attached to them. Like I feel like
Yeah.
once it's been spoken in public, it's hard to get that out of people's heads.
Yeah.
Um, and they do. I mean, they're both young and they have similar backgrounds and seem to have a lot in common. So I feel like it was natural that they bonded together.
Yeah.
Um, I don't see it developing into a showmance, but I think they I do think they are a duo, whether they want to admit it or not. I think
Right.
Alan got a lot wrong this episode, but I think he did get that right. Um,
Hmm.
and you know, we'll see how it goes down the line. I think, if there's like a swap or something and JP and Ashley are still in the same tribe, people may target them.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's gonna, if they both make it to the merge, that's gonna make it that much harder.
Yeah.
And I think JP will actually be the loser in that scenario. Um,
Correct. I see
so
them as Colby Donaldson and Jerry Manthe if they were a thing. Does that make sense? Like JP gives me really, really strong Colby vibes, and I get like subtle shades of Jerry from Ashley, and I think that that's interesting.
I don't see Jerry, but I see Colby.
Okay.
I think Jerry really wanted to showmance with Colby, but
I'm
Ashley, I
getting the
think
like strong sense of like Black Widow from Ashley. I just feel it.
I think Ashley's here to play. I don't think she's here to get a boyfriend.
Right.
So, um, but still, like I said, once it's been spoken into existence,
Yeah.
and uh, who knows? Next week we see Ben and Chrissy possibly teaming up. So
Fingers crossed.
uh, I think that is bad news for JP and Ashley if that's true and they lose again. But
We saw too much
um,
of we. I think we saw too much of the Heroes tribe this episode for them to go to tribal council anytime soon.
this episode was like 60% heroes, 20% the other two.
Yeah, and
That's how
I
I
think that it's
feel.
because the Heroes don't go to tribal council again, and so they were like, we have to show you all of them right now, except Katrina. We're not going to show you Katrina. You don't need to know her. It,
Yeah, we'll get to Katrina a little bit later,
right.
but so we have this alliance form, and then day two, Alan completely shoots himself in the foot, in my opinion, because I think he could have had a easy ride to the merge, but now I think his little blow up is going to make it that much more difficult.
Okay. I
Especially if,
disagree.
well, the thing is, it just depends on how many times this tribe goes to tribal council, I think.
Okay.
It also depends what happens at the swap. It's all speculation. I don't really, I mean, he could be okay, but I feel like him going off on people this soon was a mistake. I think he could have held his suspicions, but he shouldn't have voiced them to the people he had the suspicions about.
Well,
Um,
so okay. My thing with Alan is I think that it was actually the right thing to do. Does that make sense? Like, because I think what I appreciate about it is that he was self-aware about it. Like, he's not actually like he was never under the impression that JP and Ashley had an idol. Like, he made that up because he wanted there to be paranoia about them having an idol. So like, he didn't actually think that. He just blew it out of proportion and like went out of his way to mention it loudly in front of them so that it would get carried throughout camp. At least that was my understanding, was that he like was never paranoid about it. He like picked up on the fact that they were a tight twosome and was like, okay, I don't really want to work with that. And so then he like pretended he was paranoid and blew things up out of proportion. And I think it worked. Because I think if Ben links up with Chrissy, he's going to cut himself off from JP and Ashley. So if they went to tribal council again, I think JP and Ashley would be the targets. And so like I think it worked for Alan. Like I think it worked pretty well, actually, if that makes sense.
I think that's a possibility, but I also think it could have been smooth sailing from the get-go. Like I think they could have voted off Katrina, then they could have voted off Chrissy, and everything would be fine, you know?
Well, but then like eventually
So,
down the line, Alan gets cut at 4. Do you know what I mean? Like if you know from the get-go that you're 4 in an alliance of 4, then like don't stay in that alliance. You know what I mean? And I think he picked up on it. But he picked up on it really quickly, and like the episode was edited really weirdly, and so I feel like there was no room for him to explain why he wanted to remove himself from that group.
to me, it just, I don't know. I just don't think it was smart to make enemies this early. I think they already distrust him, and come a swap or something,
Hmm.
they're gonna leave him for dead. I just feel that way. I think it was a mistake. And making JP take his pants off, that was that was a
Okay,
little too much.
okay, so I saw that a lot, that he like made him take his pants off, but he didn't actually make him take his pants off. Like he never said like drop your drawers, let me look. Like he didn't do that. He just kept asking him over and over again if he had an idol in his pocket, and so JP just like dropped him and like shook him out to prove that he didn't. So like,
But he's making him he's pushing him to that point though.
yeah, which is, I mean, like it's something that Tony would do. Do you know what I mean? Like,
It's just I just feel like it was a mistake.
mhm,
I guess we'll agree to
yeah,
disagree, but we'll see what happens. But I think I mean, Alan was probably one of the most entertaining people of this episode,
yeah,
and I think he's a great character. I was really surprised at how he was sort of inciting all this commotion because he seemed kind of vanilla to me in the preseason. But I don't know. I just if they lose again, it'd be bad news for Alan. I don't know. We'll see. Um, So let's move on because we'll talk a little more about the heroes later since they're
Mhm.
the ones who lost. But
Yeah.
let's move on to the tribe. I feel like we really didn't see much from the healers.
Yeah.
Um, so the gist of what we got from healers, too many H's,
Hmm.
from this early game, the first 3 days is just Joe and Mike having their little feud.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm going to go ahead and say, and you're probably going to agree, that we were right in saying Joe was going to play too hard,
Oh
too
yeah.
fast.
And I think we're correct that he's going home pre-merge.
Yeah, I think we're already being told that story, like the
Yeah.
rise and fall of Joe.
Oh yeah.
And he really does. I sort of said that he was sort of like, he was going to be like a Pete. And I really think, because
Yeah.
if you remember, Peter was already pissing people off
Right.
uh,
From the
day
get-go.
day one. So I he may last a couple of episodes, but I don't think he's making the merge.
Yeah, no, I think
Um,
he'll last as long as they don't go to tribal council.
Now let's talk about him confronting Mike about the idol. Do you think
Yeah.
Mike handled that situation correctly?
Um, I have two answers for that. Yes, I think Mike handled the Joe confrontation correctly because like he wasn't lying. You know what I mean? Like he didn't have the idol and say he didn't have the idol. He was like, "Oh yeah, no, it's just this string," and he like showed him the string and then just kind of got talked over. But I don't think Mike should have gone to look for the hidden immunity idol. Like that's if you're Mike, that's something that you do if you know you're in trouble. Like especially if no one else is looking for it. So like if someone else is looking for it and you're like, okay, no, I might be in danger, then yeah, go look for it, even if you're not at risk of going home. But like if no one is looking for it and they're just like sitting around at camp, don't like walk around the entire island with a map like by yourself. Like don't do that. I don't like it was sweet and all. He was like, my 10-year-old son wants me to find the idol, and so like I if my 10-year-old son knows to find the idol, then like I've got to go and find the idol. Like cool, dude, don't do it now. Like you don't need it.
I
Play the
feel like
game first.
it was dumb Joe to confront him first of all.
Yeah, but
But
it's Joe.
then yes, Jibby, Tony. But I also think it wasn't smart of Mike to sort of be sort of what's the word, hostile towards Joe because he was questioning him. I think he should have, like, I don't know, maybe laughed or played it off. I don't know. Just it's about the social game,
Right. But there's no
I don't know.
swaying him. I think that I don't think there's any way to convince Joe that you don't have the idol. Do you know what I mean? Like if Joe thinks you have the idol, then you might as well have the idol.
But I feel like what he did just made it worse. Um, and now, I see a lot of parallels between Mike and David from Millennials versus Gen X. They're both sort of the nerdy older man. And David had some idol paranoia in his first few
Yeah.
episodes, and he ended up doing very well. Because
Yeah.
I thought with the whole discussion of, everyone was sort of pointing out how he was going off and looking for. I was like, oh, this guy's going to go home the first chance they get.
Yeah.
And the the weird thing is, it was like Joe saw him go look for the idol, but he didn't tell anyone else, which I thought was weird, at least for what we saw.
Yeah.
And usually when someone's going out looking for the idol, there's usually this whole, and they get caught. Usually there's this whole thing of like the tribe figures it out, and so then the other members of the tribe talk about it. But we really didn't see that. So I'm curious how this story ends. I feel like it ends with one of them getting voted out,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure which one first, because I wonder if Joe is going to Mike out and people believe him and Mike gets voted out. I'm just not the disadvantage of not seeing much of the healers tribe is we don't I mean we didn't even see anyone form an alliance, you
Right.
know?
Do you think it's because they're not playing though? Like, I think of all of the tribes, the healers tribe is probably going to be the last tribe to make alliances because of who they are as people.
I don't know. I don't
I
know.
just
I was confused why we it wasn't very much airtime for any of them really, but
right.
I it was like we when they went to the healers tribe, it was like Mike and Joe are fighting, and then
Yeah.
that was it.
Well, and
So
I think another reason why, going back to what you were talking about earlier, I think another reason why we didn't see anyone else on the tribe reacting or like finding out or talking about Mike going to look for an idol is because like they didn't care. You know what I mean? Like I don't think
people always care.
well, but I don't think anyone was concerned. Do you know what I mean? Like I think Joe was
People are
concerned.
always
Okay,
concerned.
but I hear me out. They don't strike me as the kind of people who are gonna be uber concerned about things like that on day two. Do you know what I mean? Like they're gonna be more focused on like getting to know each other and taking care of each other and like building camp and all. Because no one but Joe. And like Joe flipped out and like blew it out of proportion. But I don't think the rest of them would have cared as much. Like think about the other people. Think about the other four people on that tribe. Do you think any of the four of them? Well, okay, Rourke might would have cared. I don't think that any of the other three think it's a big deal.
It just seemed like a missed opportunity for Joe to really sort of solidify who was going home first
Yeah,
and theoretically saving himself, you know?
yeah.
Because to me, Joe uh, seems like the type that would rat someone out. I don't know, but
I
it'll
think
be
his
interesting.
ego is too big to consider himself a potential first target. Does that make sense? So he wouldn't think that he needed to throw anyone under the bus because he's already certain he's not going home.
Maybe. Who knows what we didn't see?
Yeah,
Uh,
I can only imagine. You know what we
like,
did see? What were you saying?
what did we see?
Oh, we saw a lot of Rourke when we saw the healers, and we saw a lot of Rourke being very I don't know what the right word is. Um, very like to the point, I guess. Um, like the first shot we got of Rourke in the challenge where they were like doing the opening challenge. They were like, "You're the lightest," and she was like, "No," but they lifted her anyway. Like she let them lift her, but like at first I was like, "Rourke, just let them do it," because she sounded like she wasn't gonna let them. And then when we saw her in the challenge, she was telling them, she was like, "Do this. You have to do it this way," and then they did it. And she was like, "Yeah, you got it." So it's just like I was very confused by what we saw of Rourke, and it made me very concerned for her.
We didn't see much of Rourke, but what we did see, it was more like at the challenges.
Yeah, and I think that
So,
that's really telling of how they
which
interact.
I don't know how to feel about the Healers tribe in general because we
Yeah,
just didn't see much of them. So does
yeah.
that mean none of them really? I mean, it's six people. At least one or two has to be key players in this,
I
but
mean, Michelle didn't have very many confessionals until the merge.
that's true. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
I think if it's the case, because this tribe I do think is the strongest of the three.
yeah,
Um, if they are sort of like the Tandang tribe from Philippines, I think it could be a case of well, I don't know if all six of them will make it, but it could be the case of if a, at least five make it, maybe.
right.
I feel like that's reasonable. If at least five make it, they could sort of uh, eat their own, which
Yeah.
happened to Tandang. So we'll see how it goes. That's way in the future. Um, so let's move on to the Hustlers tribe. So we the first sort of scene we get is Allie and Patrick getting together, which
hmm
for those of you who do not read like interviews and stuff, apparently Allie and Patrick know each other outside of the game,
Scandalous.
which apparently they went to the same school. They're not like childhood best friends or anything. They
Right.
just happened to go to the same school and in Alabama, and it's Auburn. And Auburn is a very big school.
Right. So
So
they probably
it's
didn't know each other.
it's not like, well, Allie said they did.
Okay. But they probably like didn't walk in the same circles. You know what I mean?
Wait,
Like
I
they were
just
probably acquaintances.
the thing is, um, it's a big school. It's not like a small liberal arts school where you know everyone like the school I go to. But uh, you know, she really didn't elaborate,
Mhm.
probably wisely,
Yeah.
about how she knew him, and he didn't acknowledge that he knew her at all, probably wisely.
He kind of
But
hinted at it in the episode though. Anyway.
he's probably kind of frustrated that she did. But
Mm.
I mean, they could have had a class together. They could have,
Mhm.
had similar friends, or she could have seen him walking down the hallway. We don't, she didn't elaborate, so we just don't know. I don't think they're like super close friends, but I just don't know. But um, I, I don't know how I feel about this, Will, because they have obviously gotten together because even
Mhm.
though it's a game that is supposed to be with strangers,
Right.
they at least know of them or a
Right.
little
They're
bit
not
about them.
strangers. Yeah.
I feel like I don't know how I feel about them both as players now because they got an advantage that everyone else didn't have, you know? So
Okay.
I'm conflicted, Will.
I
Because
would.
what if they're like in the final two or something? I will
So
be.
I think okay. Here's the only reason why I disagree. Um, they don't. They're not loved ones. Do you know what I mean? Like this is not a blood nor water connection. They just like have run into each other before. So I mean, it would be weird. I would feel weird if they made it to the final two. But I think that from what we've seen, as a glimpse into next week's episode, it's probably not likely that they're going to last as an alliance from the beginning to the
Well,
end of the game.
I think that preview may have been a little
Maybe a little
reaching.
misleading, but
You
also,
know how they tease.
but okay, but also, I think that it's not like either of them came into this season being like, okay, I know that Allie's going to be on this season, so like we're going to go to the end together. So it was still like a day one alliance that they made, and like everyone makes like anyone. Ryan and Devin made a day one alliance, and so like do you know what I mean? Like I'm kind of relating it in that way, whereas like their bond isn't like unbreakable because it's not as if they're best friends outside of the game. So they're still just two players who came into the game not knowing they were going to work together and then deciding to work together. And so even if they made it to the final two, like it would be weird um, because of CBS, like whatever, do your thing, homies. But just like, I don't know, like I think it's okay. I think it is allowed because they're not like they
I just
didn't
feel
go in
weird
with the
because
intention to.
I know it's not their fault.
Right.
And I think it's a little weird for CB. I mean, maybe they just didn't know, but I find it odd that, well, no, they had an ample opportunity to put one of them on a different tribe, but to put them
Yeah.
both on the same tribe, I don't know.
Mhm.
It's a little odd, but it's just a case of, hey, I don't know any of these other people, but at least I know you, even if a little bit outside of the game, so I can at
Yeah.
least trust you a little more than these people.
Yeah.
It's I have mixed feelings about it, Will. It doesn't change my views on them. I mean, I still like Allie. She was
Right.
one of my favorites, but learning that piece of information, I guess I'm more frustrated at casting, but
Yeah. I don't know how they
I don't
missed
know.
that. Because, like, you know that they know where they went to college, and you know that they know when they went to college. So, like, oh, these two went to Auburn for the same year, I bet they don't know each other, which is like plausible. Because like, say if I ever was cast on Survivor and someone else from my college was also cast on Survivor, there is a very slim chance that I will know them or like have ever even seen them before. Um, and I mean, my university is a little bit bigger than Auburn, but like, I guess CBS could assume, but like they assumed incorrectly if that's what
Well, I
happened.
mean, what are the odds that they would know each other?
Right.
But I, I mean, even if there's the slight chances,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, we can move on from this, but I'm just a little bit frustrated, and I guess I'll wait until the end of the season to decide
Okay.
uh, how I feel about it. I mean, if they're not in like the finals together, I I won't feel as bad about it. But
Yeah.
let's talk about Ryan and Devin, the most unlikely duo.
What?
Uh,
I don't
well, I thought it was
understand.
unlikely.
No, no, I agree. I'm just saying what, as in like, what is that? I'm so
And
confused.
I think it's kind of interesting. Two people that otherwise have nothing in common getting together.
Mm-hmm.
But Will, was it a mistake for Ryan to share that information with him about the super IO? Is that gonna? Do you think that earned Devin's trust, or do you think Devin will spill the beans?
I think it earned Devin's trust, 100%.
Okay.
I don't think it was a mistake. But I don't know. It's tricky because like we've also talked at length about how we don't think Devin is gonna last long, and we could be incredibly wrong. But if we're not
I'm
wrong,
sorry. My opinion on that is changing a
mine
little
is
bit.
too. But if we're not wrong and Devin still goes pre-merge, then it could be because he spills the beans, and Ryan convinces everyone else that he's lying and he goes home. You know what I mean? So
I
like,
just want.
I
I'm
don't think it's
trying
gonna
to
be bad for Ryan.
because I mean Ryan and Devin got a lot of airtime this episode, so I'm wondering, is this like gonna eclipse to something? You know, is Ryan gonna stab Devin in the back or vice versa? Just we're not sure, but uh, I just thought it was an unlikely duo, surprising,
It's weird.
and good for Ryan for not sort of falling into this like antisocial, because I know he's like he talked about at length in his interviews how he's had trouble communicating with people in his past. So it's nice that he's recognizing he has to have a social game. So I
Yeah.
think that's sometimes where the game robots fail, is that they see people as chess pieces and not as people. Um, so good on him. Uh, and I'll be interested to see how it goes. Let's talk about the other two who were practically invisible. Actually, I think Simone was the most invisible out of everyone, which is
Period. Yeah.
interesting. She got no confessional. We didn't even hear her speak,
Not a single time.
and I hardly saw her in any of the frames, to be
She just
honest.
kept looking like sad. She looked sad every time they showed her on camera.
And I don't want to read the tea leaves too hard, but I say that's telling. Simone's
Hmm.
not going to be around for long.
I
She's not
agree.
long for this game. Uh,
I think it's very clear that
as-
Simone and Lauren are both probably going soon.
yeah, but I mean, so we have two duos on the Hustlers tribe. We have
Mhm.
Allie and Patrick, and now we have Ryan and Devin. And
Yeah,
Simone and Lauren are sort of like, where do they go? And I'm not even sure if Allie and Patrick are at odds with Ryan and Devin. So did
right.
those duos make a foursome and then just vote out the other two? Like, I don't know. Because, like, I mean, the episode, of course, focused on the heroes. So we really didn't we saw a good bit of those two duos, but we really didn't see anything from Lauren or Sim. So I don't know how I feel about, I think odds are pretty high. Both of them are gone early, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I used to think Lauren was sort of going to be the first one out, but maybe it's Simone. I don't know.
Yeah, I think
It,
Lauren would fit in better with the pre-existing group than Simone would. So
I was totally expecting a storyline of Lauren getting on everyone's nerves, and we didn't get that. So maybe that's a good thing for her. Uh,
yeah,
but it was only episode 1, so who knows?
yeah,
They're not starving yet, so
it's
who
true.
knows? Um, but Simone, I mean, the same thing happened with Lucy from Millennials versus Gen X. She didn't talk for
Hmm.
3 episodes, and
Yeah,
then the fourth episode, she like plays a major role, and then she
yeah.
goes home.
Then she goes home, and that's it.
So
Yeah.
I think the fate is the same for Simone. I'm gonna say.
Okay.
I'm calling it. Will.
I just I don't disagree. I'm also not sure if she's gonna have the Lucy arc because we didn't see her make any connections at all in this episode, and it like at least with Lucy we knew episode 1 where she laid like her alliance wise, like we knew who she was with. So I don't know. I don't know that Simone will have the momentum to make any sort of last ditch effort to remain in the game when her
Yeah.
time comes.
I don't know. It's no one found an idol this episode. There's still 3 idols
Mm.
out there, so who knows? Who knows? I'm hoping someone finds one next week. Otherwise, I think people are just gonna not look for them. I don't know,
Yeah.
but
It's
I
gonna
think
be Ryan, Mike, and then who knows who's gonna find the heroes idol. I don't think it will be Chrissy.
Alan's gonna find it for the
I think
heroes
I was going back and forth between Alan and Ashley, but I was also gonna say
because I
Alan.
think Alan is gonna realize he needs it.
Mm.
Because I genuinely think he needs it.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think Chrissy's gonna plan a fake one. I bet
oh
JP
yeah,
finds it. I bet JP finds the fake one.
we'll talk about it soon. But so we get to the challenge, like we sort of discussed. The challenge is I. This was a close challenge. It really could have been anyone that lost.
Mm.
I questioned the hero's decision, which it was really JP's decision to
Yeah,
pick the more complicated map. I think that hurt them because the challenge really did come down to the balance thing, whatever it's
yeah,
called. Um, but the healers and the hustlers win, as we sort of predicted, because I think we both looked at this challenge and said heroes are probably at a disadvantage with this one. So
yeah,
uh, we could have been wrong, but we weren't. And then I was so nervous because this was a 1 hour premiere, and the
yeah,
last 1 hour premiere was One World. I was so nervous there was going to be a medevac. And when
yeah.
Chrissy hit the floor,
Right.
my
My
heart
life
sank.
flashed before my eyes.
I was like, wait, she cannot be medically evacuated. I
Mm-mm.
cannot deal. And then she threw up, and I'm like, oh my God. But she threw up rather elegantly, I will
She
say.
did. And then she like as soon as she was done throwing up, they got like they stayed on her. She threw up and then she like turned her head to the side and she was just glowing. I was
Yes,
like,
like
wait,
the true goddess that she
right?
is.
I was so confused. I'm not gonna lie. Part of me still thinks that she made herself throw up so that she would appear like she was weak and on the bottom.
Well, it worked in her favor
It did.
because
Ryan gave her the idol.
Ron saw her puking up her guts and he said, Super Idol's going to
Yeah, he was like,
you.
"Homegirl's gonna need some help tonight." Surprise!
Yeah.
I don't think she did it on purpose, but like, I think she worked it. You know what I mean?
Oh, I think the challenge was straining on her because I mean I think of the people on her tribe, I think she's probably the least physical.
Yeah,
And so I think it was. I mean, I saw pieces of her where she was sort of struggling
hmm
behind everyone. So I mean, I think she was as physicality goes, but think she's probably better at like puzzles, and I think she did okay with the balancing. Like I said,
Yeah,
they should have picked a different. They should have picked a different one. Um,
it makes
so they
sense for them
lose.
though. Does that make you? You know what I'm saying? Like it was the most straightforward maze and like the most traditional maze, and so like it makes sense that the most traditional people would pick the traditional maze. I just had a Jeff Probst moment. Sorry, I'm
Um,
psychoanalyzing all of their decisions.
um, you got to have it on vinyl. Um, millennials versus Gen X. I think this concept will eclipse that. But as far as Jeff Probst and Tribal Council goes,
Ugh.
so
Ready for the
they
tribe swap
lose.
already.
So they lose, and Ryan gives Chrissy the super idol. Someone just slammed a door.
Boy.
Um, and so we get back to the Heroes Beach, and Katrina finally gets a confessional. When she wasn't getting any airtime, I was like, oh no. I'm
The
guessing.
end is nigh.
Yeah, I was worried. But then I don't think Katrina was a bad player. I think she just couldn't fit in.
Yeah.
I
You
do
know,
think that was the issue.
that was actually one of the things that I like thought about the entire time. It's like once the challenge was over, I was like, you know, Katrina's actually playing pretty well and like seems to be in. Do you know what I mean? Like, had Ben and Alan voted the other way, like she would have been fine. Katrina would have been fine. And like
Yeah.
it was just crazy. We were wrong
So
about her. We
they,
were correct about her placement, but I think we were wrong about her.
yeah, I'll talk about that in a second because I feel like I owe her an apology because I called her Wendy Joe. But anyway, uh, so they get back to their beach and the scrambling begins. So I don't know about you, but I actually thought Katrina may get away scot free from this tribal council.
I did too.
I thought, and that's clever. I think the Game Changers editor, which can be a double-edged sword,
Hmm.
but it reminded me of that Game Changers editing where you're being told the story of one thing that happens and then the complete opposite happens, but it was something that you knew was in the realm of possibility, so you're just like, why? But
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
editing for you. um but I was sort of anticipating Chrissy playing the super idol on Katrina and Ashley going home,
Hmm.
um, or on herself. I was wondering if they were, because they talked about Katrina, but we also saw that Chrissy tossed her cookies. So
Yeah.
I was like, she was being framed as the weaker choice, but
Hmm.
um, I think it speaks to her social game
Yeah.
that Katrina was actually the one who was sent home.
I think it also like reflects well for her future in the game because like if she was able to like overcome that and then not think that she was the weakest link, then I think she's probably going to be there for a while.
Yeah, but they give us this whole thing of like Ben and Alan are actually in the middle and could
Hmm.
go either way. But we get to tribal council. Alan has another sort of meltdown, which I I know how you feel, Will, but I just feel like he is slowly shooting himself in the foot.
The tribal council one wasn't necessary. That one
Yeah,
was not good for him.
he's entertaining.
Hmm.
Certainly made. I think Alan made this whole episode
Oh
really
yeah,
fun.
yeah.
But as far as his longevity in the game goes, I think uh, he's he's not long for this survivor life.
No.
Uh, but we'll see. But so, and it ends up well, we were sort of framed that Chrissy and Katrina were like BFFs and were the mom squad. Uh, but we, and when Chrissy didn't play the super idol on Katrina, Twitter was like, what? I think the initial reaction was like, Chrissy, this was a dumb move. Katrina was
Yeah.
your only ally.
LOL.
And for those of you that do not read, exit interviews, because I'm highly invested in this show, so I read the exit interviews. Katrina said that she was sort of surprised at the way her and Katrina's relationship was shown because they really weren't that close at all. And
Hmm.
she sort of said that Chrissy had it out for her from the get go because I think Chrissy sort of knew the first time they lost, one of the two older women has to go, and she was going to make sure it was going to be Katrina.
Yeah. We
And
called that
that happened.
also, by the way. Let's just put that out there. We called that the two of them were not going to get along at all.
Yeah, we
We were
called a lot
correct.
of things this
We
episode.
really
I'm
did.
proud of us. I'm not sure what that means for us going forward, but
Right.
I
Okay.
think as long as we got one episode right, I'm okay.
Hmm.
But
I also like. I'm kind of mad that Twitter thought that was a bad move, even when we thought that, like, even when we were being fooled by the editing. Do you know what I mean?
well,
Because, like, even if she's your only ally, you know for a fact if Chrissy plays that, sure, Katrina gets to stay an extra 2 days, maybe. But, like, well, no, Katrina gets to stay a lot more days because Chrissy then becomes the next target. Because, like, how'd you get that super idol? Like, it doesn't work for her benefit to use it to keep anyone but herself around.
well, if she plays it, so Katrina stays and Ashley would go home, but now she's got three people pissed at her.
Right.
Uh, and who's to say Katrina is an ally worth having? Because what does Katrina really I think Katrina isn't a bad player, but clearly people wanted her gone for a reason.
Hmm.
Because I mean, I feel like Katrina is probably one of the most under-edited first boots. Because it
Yeah.
seems like first boots usually get a pretty big story in the premiere because it's
Yeah.
their only
It's
story.
their only story.
Uh,
Yeah.
but Katrina, I mean, she didn't get a confessional until after they lost.
Hmm.
Uh, we didn't even. I mean, for casual people, they didn't even know she was an Olympian until they're reading the votes at the end credits.
Yeah.
So people were wondering why is she a hero?
Right. What did she
um,
do?
yeah. So just I think in a way I feel bad for Katrina because I feel like she maybe deserved a little better as
Yeah.
far as her portrayal goes.
Yeah.
I will say I was wrong to call her Wendy Joe. I'll go ahead and say that now. I don't think she was a bad player. I mean, if you listen to her exit, she said she was going to be the first out the minute she was placed on the tribe. She said she was placed on the tribe with the five people she didn't really connect with in the preseason. So, and she
Rip
really
her.
couldn't fit in.
Hmm.
Uh, so it's hearing her say that makes sense why she went home. Sometimes you do nothing wrong. You just don't fit in with the people you were put on the tribe with. And I think that's the case for Katrina. Now, going into next week, let's talk about next week, Will.
Okay.
So we see Chrissy and Ben possibly being this another dynamic duo. I think this is the season of the duos. Um, I think I subconsciously used a Big Brother reference, but anyway,
Ugh.
uh, let's not talk about that show right now.
Mm-mm.
Um, I am here for Ben and Chrissy Power
Me too, boy.
because I've decided I really like Ben as well.
Me too. Yeah. I
Um,
still don't think he's gonna play the game super aggressively, but like I like him. He can stay.
yeah, I really like Ben. I think he's going to be a fun character for many episodes to
Hmm.
come. And I am here for teaming up with our favorite,
Right.
because
I'm
we're
I'm fine
not
with
biased at all.
anyone working in alliance with Chrissy. Like I don't care who you are.
And it sort of justifies her reasoning for not playing it on Katrina because
It does.
she knew. I mean, she knew once one of the older women was gone, and she was making sure it was going to be
Hmm.
Katrina. Uh, more doors would open for her,
Yeah.
and
She's
allegedly they
pulling
are.
on them heartstrings.
I really do believe, and Katrina sort of talked about this. She said in her exit interviews,
Hmm.
Chrissy has an amazing social game. She said that she turned you know, when they were deciding which one of the two moms were going to be voted out, Chrissy pretty
Yeah.
much turned everyone against Katrina on day two,
Hmm.
because apparently Chrissy has this good social game and gets people to tell things to her. And I also think it shows that Chrissy not playing the super idol, Chrissy's thinking long term,
Yeah.
which is a great trait to have in Survivor. She's
Hmm.
not thinking short term, she's thinking long term.
Hmm.
So, uh, of course, I have my biases because she
Right.
was
It's hard
my
to separate.
she was my preseason favorite and one of Will's favorites too. But uh, I do think she uh, did well this episode. I think people calling it a dumb move maybe didn't process it well enough.
I think they were fooled by the editing.
Yeah, I think maybe everyone just really. Maybe people just don't like JP and Ashley. Maybe that's it. Maybe they were here for the mom squad. I don't know. I'm kind of here for the mom squad, not gonna lie,
Right? I would have been okay with it.
but that's just not how the cookie crumbles. I think I think it was Chaos Cast that tweeted out that Survivor is the hardest game for women over 40,
Hmm.
and I believe that to be true.
Oh yeah.
'Cause automatically, before anyone said anything, you two are the weakest.
Hmm.
So
It took
uh,
0.2 seconds for Ashley to be like, "They're going home first. The four of us are in alliance."
yeah,
Ugh.
just it sucks, but it's. I mean, that's how humans are. We look at
Yeah.
older people as just weaker, but I won't
Yeah.
go into deeper philosophical talks about that. But yeah, it sucks, but I'm glad it was Chrissy that stayed. Um,
She was thanks to
so
Ryan, she wasn't going anywhere anyway. So like maybe it would have been better if it had been Chrissy because then we would have had both of them. Actually, no, we
and
wouldn't have because it probably would have been a tie between Katrina and Ashley.
and now she can. The thing is, she doesn't have to like give back the super idol to
Right.
production, so
She can
she
fake some
can
things.
she can say, guys, this is a super idol. You vote me out tonight. I'm playing it,
You're going home. Yeah.
So that's
Hmm.
interesting. Of course, a problem occurs if her and Ryan are in the same place at the same time because
Yeah.
only she and him know. So is Ryan going to out her, or is Ryan going to use that to get her trust, or are they going to make a connection? It'll be
Hmm.
interesting to see how that plays out if both of them make the merge.
I bet
Don't
I bet that Ryan will use it to connect with her and she'll stab him in the back.
And Devin is also in this too.
He is because he knows.
So that's three people that know.
Yeah.
And
Part of me
I
though, you finish? You good.
you keep going.
No, you go.
Oh, it'll be interesting to see if it stays between those three. Because a part of me feels like it's not going to.
Hmm.
And I don't know what that means for Chrissy. That actually makes me kind of nervous for Chrissy
Yeah.
now that I've said it out loud. But I'm also not sure if all three of them even make the merge. So
Yeah.
we'll see
Because
how
I
it goes.
think they didn't show any of Ryan's thought process in giving it to Chrissy. Do you know what I mean? Like they only showed him saying he wanted to give it to someone on the bottom. And like obviously he doesn't know who's on the bottom and so he just took a guess. And he guessed correctly cuz like Survivor fan, he used his brain. Um but they didn't show his thinking, like his thought process on specifically choosing Chrissy, and they didn't show anything of him like telling Devin about giving it to Chrissy. Do you know what I mean? And so part of me thinks that it's just going to be a wash, and that maybe both Ryan and Devin go home before they meet Chrissy in person. Um, and that it's not really a big deal. Because I feel like they normally foreshadow things like that. You know what I mean? So, like, I feel like they would have foreshadowed Chrissy's downfall. Could be coming up in episode 2. Maybe she tells Ben, hey, I have a super idol. I'll use it to keep us safe. And then tribe swap. Ryan spills the beans, and then Chrissy goes home because Ben gets mad at her for lying. Who knows? So, like, episode 2 should be telling about that. But, like, they
Jeff
didn't
Pro.
foreshadow it now.
I also keep going back to this thing that Jeff Probst used to describe the season, and that it was characterized by secrets and how people used
Didn't keep
that.
them. Yeah.
And so that makes me nervous because I don't know what that means.
What if Chrissy just walks up to Ben and she's like, so someone gave me this super idol. I could only use it last night, but like I'm gonna keep it and use it to trick these people.
I
What if she's just
mean,
super open about it?
I feel like Ben would be smart to keep Chrissy on his side because
Oh yeah.
she has something that is very useful.
I
So
think he'll jump ship on JP and Ashley.
I would be okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay
Yeah.
with that. I feel like Alan, Ben, and Chrissy is like a very entertaining alliance.
And one that could do really well.
Yeah. So we'll see. So the rest of the previews for next week, uh, it seems like we're going to get hopefully a little bit more of the Healer's Tribe.
Yeah.
Cole and Jessica are
Oh
in
boy.
paradise apparently. Figgy is at home screaming in horror at the TV
Yeah.
screen saying,
Literally the first note that I took on this entire episode was Jessica is getting the Figgy edit and I don't get it.
saying, Figgy is at home screaming, Jessica, no, did you not watch my season in
Right.
Ponderosa?
My name is also Jessica. Don't do it.
Oh, wow, it is. I didn't even make that
Yeah.
connection.
And Cole and
Allie
Taylor look
from
alike.
Allie from Caramoan is screaming, no, Jessica, have you learned nothing?
No, she has not.
And I'm actually, you may disagree with this. I am moving Desi off my pre-merge, and I may be putting Jessica on.
Okay.
I don't know how you feel, but I can only go off Survivor history. And when there's a showmance, nothing ever turns out good for the girl.
Yeah.
The girl is
You're not
always
wrong.
gone pre-merge.
I
So
just I don't know. I just for whatever reason, reading into the edit a little bit when we did see the Healers Tribe, I got the vibe that Desi and Joe were the most rigid. Like just from like hearing the way that they talked about what was happening in the game and like obviously watching Joe. I feel like the two of them are the most rigid and therefore the most at risk of going home in a tribe swap. Like I feel like Jessica would be someone that other tribes would be like, oh, she'll work with us, whereas like Desi would be someone that they wouldn't feel that with. And so like I'm gonna leave it for now on mine, but you feel free to swap them.
yeah, I I don't know. If I was a Jessica fan, I'd be nervous. Um, and then the last preview, I think this is a red herring, but apparently Allie and Patrick are having some sort of conflict. It just seems more like misleading editing to me. But I mean, what did you think?
I mean, when I saw it we only heard from Allie, and all we heard was that like I don't know if I want to be aligned with this guy because he's like ripping a crab in half and it's crazy. And like I don't think that means that they're not going to work together. I think it foreshadows that their alliance slash friendship for the duration of the season is going to be a real rocky one. I think that she's probably continually going to be on the edge of like, should I just let him go home? Because he's getting on my nerves.
And see, I don't see that happening. I think they're in it for the long haul because
Yeah.
I think Even if they only are acquaintances, that means a lot in Survivor when you're with strangers. I'm
Yeah.
just saying.
I think
Um,
she'll let him go home so as not to jeopardize her game, though. I just don't want him to take her down with him because, like, he's going down at some point.
I don't think either of them are opposed to voting each other out, but I
Yeah.
think in this early stage,
Yeah.
uh, trust is very valuable. And if they can establish that between each other,
Yeah.
that's important. So I don't know. I call red herring Survivor editors. You can't fool
One
me.
of the three of them has to be a red herring. It always is.
Well, I think the Cole and Jessica thing is very gonna
Yeah.
happen.
That one's gonna happen.
Um,
I think
and
the Ben
I
and Chrissy thing will happen.
I see Ben and Chrissy. I don't see why they wouldn't. I see them
Right.
teaming
It
up,
doesn't make sense
and
for them not to.
I ship it. I like Ben and Chrissy as a duo. So
Benzie.
uh, busy. Um, so Will,
Hmm.
let's do our best and worst players of the week.
Okay.
Do you want to go first or me?
I'll let you go first.
Okay. My best player of the week. You may disagree with me on this, but I'm actually gonna go with Ben,
Okay.
and I'll tell you why. Amidst all the drama that's going on the Heroes tribe, and I feel like this really needed to go to a hero because I just
Hmm.
haven't seen anything from the other two tribes.
Right.
Um, Ben is not caught up in all the drama.
Hmm.
He really is, even though he voted out Katrina, and he probably never really was with her. I really do believe he is playing middleman, and I think that's a good spot for him to be. And no one's really called him out on it. And I
Hmm.
think with all those other personalities that are on that tribe, uh, and I think JP and Ashley are in trouble.
Hmm.
Um, but with all those other personalities, I think Ben is the safest out of all of them, and I think he did good this episode. He didn't make anyone
Hmm.
mad, despite all that was going on, and everyone seems to like Ben. Everyone wants
Yeah.
Ben on their side, so that to me indicates he's doing something right. So that is my
Hmm.
best player. Worst player, I guess you're gonna disagree with me on this. I'm gonna have to go with Alan.
Okay.
And I'm not saying just because he's the worst player means he's going to go home soon or anything. I just mean he really could have been smooth sailing these first few days, being comfortable with his alliance and just voting out the two older women. And then, whatever happens after that, uh, cross that bridge when we get there. I actually don't think they would have, I don't think they're going to lose any more challenges. I'm calling it now, but
Hmm.
at least until the swap, because then things change. But
Right.
I really think he shot himself in the foot. I think the people have seen how he plays now, and I don't think any of them want a part of it long
Hmm.
term.
Hmm.
Just my 2 cents. So what say you, William?
So I do agree with you about Ben. He's not my best game player for the week because I don't think he played the game. Um, not strategically at least. I think it was social and like that's how that is a part of playing the game. And so I don't disagree. I think he did a
Especially
really
early game.
right, and I think he did a really good job at doing that. Sorry, I'm readjusting. I think he did a good job at doing that. But I think for me, this week's best game player, I'm really torn between Chrissy and Ryan. But I think I'm going to go with Ryan, just because we didn't see a lot of Chrissy um, in the edit. Like I think that Chrissy made a lot of really solid calls this episode, but I think Ryan is for me the best game player because he's made that established connection with Devin. We saw him find the super idol, and we saw him give it to someone who needed it. Like he accurately guessed who was on the bottom of the tribe and gave it to the right person. Did he give it to the person who was going home? No, but he gave it to someone that he recognized was on the bottom, and he wasn't incorrect. Um, and I think that shows really good game sense and really good intuition. So Ryan is my best player for the week. My worst players of the week are JP and Ashley. Um, and I part of me really just wants to say Ashley because I don't know that I really consider JP a game player at all. Because even in this episode, like he's so passive, which is fine. Like be a passive person, that's whatever. But like you can't be a passive game player, and he's already showing glimpses of it. So like that's bad. Um, but like if someone calls you out for being in a duo and you don't want to be in a duo, like you don't want that, and you're saying that's not the case, then like vote that person out. Do you know what I mean? Like it should have been if I'm JP or Ashley, I'm voting the other person out. Like if it's going to be a big deal, so like say I'm JP and I have a good connection with Ben and I have a good connection with Alan up until the point that Alan calls me out. I'm going to be willing to get rid of Ashley in order to prove that we're not a pair. Does that make sense? So like I think
Yeah.
the appropriate call for them this episode would have been to vote each other out, or at least to be open to voting each other out and not like tying themselves closer together because people accuse them of being tied closely together.
When someone says, like, you're a power couple, the thing you should do immediately is distance yourself from
Yes,
that
jump
person.
ship.
JP and Ashley, it's like it brought them closer
Yeah,
together.
they isolated
The
themselves.
whole
I just
conflict
don't
with
understand.
Alan, it's like it brought
Yeah,
them close together. I think it's going to
yeah,
lead to the detriment of Ashley if they lose again.
okay,
Because I don't,
yeah,
I think JP is, because I think they want to keep the strength because
yeah,
they obviously need to win something. So I think Ashley
yeah,
will go home before JP. But
yeah,
uh, I, I see, I agree with both of yours. Obviously, I just had differing opinions, but
yeah.
I'm certainly not disagreeing. So,
Mhm.
any other final thoughts on the premiere, Will?
I'm really sad that it was only an hour because it was really poorly edited, but like it was still really good. It wasn't okay. It wasn't poorly edited. It was rushed because it had to be, but
We,
it was still
well,
really good.
they were promoting some show at 9 o'clock, some new show, but
Uh,
uh, this is Survivor. This is your one of your staple programs.
right.
What you doing, CBS? But
Get it together.
I think it suffered because I feel like we didn't see hardly anything from the Healers tribe.
No.
And hopefully we'll get some more of them next week. It looks like we're going to, but
Mhm.
I think it suffered with only being 40 minutes of 3 days. I
Yeah.
mean, the whole point of 2 hour premieres is so you really get to know everyone,
Mhm.
even if it's just someone getting one confessional or
Yeah.
one or two. Some people didn't even get that this episode. So
R.I.P. Simone.
uh, yeah, Simone is not long for this Survivor life. But uh, anyway, so any other hot takes, Will?
I'm excited.
Who's going home next week? Let's see if we can do it again.
All right. Hmm. I don't know. I can't shake the Devon second boot thing. I can't shake it.
I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to stick with my gut and say Lauren
Okay.
because I do think Hustlers are going to lose. Uh, I don't think Healers are going to lose yet.
Not yet.
Uh, I think we're gonna get the story of Cole and Jessica that I think
Yeah.
eventually leads to Jessica's demise. But I think that's gonna be in a later episode. But
Okay.
I call Hustlers and I say Lauren goes home because uh, I don't think she's gonna fit in. So what
Okay.
say you?
I also say Hustlers. I don't know. Uh, I really think I really think it's going to be Devon.
Really interesting.
Can I? Okay, here's my thought process. Why would Ryan tell him about the super idol and then Devin feel really relieved about it if he didn't already feel like he was in trouble?
So you think maybe we just didn't see it, but Devin wasn't making really good connections with people?
I think that Devin was on the outs, yeah. And that's why he was so relieved that Ryan was willing to use a super idol on him, because I think he was worried that he might be on the chopping block.
See, this is the problem with a 1 hour show. We don't get to see all this.
Because I can see Lauren working with Patrick and Allie, in which case it would either be a tie or Simone would go with Patrick and Allie too,
I
which
still
would be
say
different.
Lauren because we really
Mhm.
didn't see Lauren do. I mean, all she talked about was building the shelter.
Yeah, yeah,
So I don't know, and I can't stop. I mean, look what just happened to Katrina. I feel like
yeah,
people look at Lauren, they're like, she's
yeah.
the older lady of the group. She doesn't fit in with us.
You don't think that Simone would go first though for being less capable in challenges than Lauren?
I think Simone is probably a better social player than Lauren, even though we didn't see. I mean, I don't really
Mhm.
have anything to justify
Right.
that
We have
because we
literally
didn't.
nothing to go off of.
But it's just a gut feeling.
Okay.
But we'll see how it goes. Who knows? But that's gonna do it for this recap. I had a lot of fun. I think we're in store for a really fun season.
Yeah.
I think this is a full cast of characters, and there's still 3 idols out there that have yet to be found. So,
Let them stay there.
oh,
I'm
anyway,
kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
on that note, he's kidding. But
Just the super idols. The super idols can stay hidden.
uh, well, that's going to do it for our show this week. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment, and follow us on Twitter at Tribal Talk. And we'll see you next time. Bye bye.